Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Hey, I want to share something I picked up from Jonathan Cahn in his book, Book of Mysteries. And some really good stuff in the Book of Mysteries, in my opinion. Some stuff that I find insightful. Hey, let me start off by reading a verse of scripture. We find it in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. You've probably heard it before. The temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. And God is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. When you're tempted, He will show you a way out so you can endure. So I think there's a lot of people that say like, oh, I don't know about that. I think I'm more tempted than anybody else. But here's the deal. Everybody gets tempted. As far as the way of escape, sometimes we've already missed the way of escape. But so in the Book of Mysteries, there's a teacher. They don't say who it is. He doesn't have a name. But it almost seems like it's Jesus, but it doesn't say that. And there's a student. So the master asks, how do you deal with temptation? And so the student says, well, you resist it. They're like, that's a pretty good answer. Yeah. But then the teacher says, yes, but how? How do you resist it? And then the student's like, I don't know exactly what he's looking for, so I'm not going to say anything. And so the teacher says, the book of Proverbs reveals how to deal with the temptation of sexual sin, the seduction of an adulteress. It is written, keep your way far from her, and do not come near to the door of her house. You see, the best way to deal with temptation is not to deal with it. At which point the student's like, huh? What? The best way to deal with temptation is to not deal with it. But if you think about it, there's a lot of wisdom in that. Well, the student says, I don't understand, but the master says, if you keep yourself away from the temptation, there's less chance you'll be dealing with it. The scripture goes further than that. Listen again. It says, keep your way far from her. Do not come near the door of her house. This is an even greater key. It reveals that it's not enough to stay away from the temptation. You must make it your aim to stay away from the door to temptation. Think about it. Which is more alluring? A person trying to seduce you or a door? Well, that's a no-brainer. It's the seductress, of course. And which is more tempting? A substance that you would be addicted to or a door? Well, once again, it's the substance. And what's more likely to harm you or make you fear? A dangerous situation or a door? Again, it's the dangerous situation. So the teacher says exactly. So instead of dealing with the person or the substance or the situation of danger, deal with the door. Deal with the door and you'll avoid the temptation. But the student says, okay, right, and the door is what exactly? The door is not the temptation nor the sin. It's that which would lead you to the temptation and the sin. How did Jesus teach us to pray? Lead us not into temptation. In other words, help to figure out where the doors are that lead you to the things where you know where you're weak. And then stay away from them. Stay away from the doors. That's the key. Make it your aim not only to avoid the temptation, locate the door to the temptation, and then stay as far away as possible. For it is the wise who, instead of dealing with the temptation and sin, deal with doors. I think that's a great word. I remember years ago, a guy by the name of Gail Irwin told a story about his big temptation was M&Ms. And God gave him victory over it. And then he was really confident about it. So he'd go to the grocery store and he'd walk right by him and he'd say, you don't have any power over me anymore. And then he'd go so far as to pick up a big bag of them and say, you have no power over me. He's talking to him. And then he'd put it in his cart, take it around the store and says, you can't make me buy you. And you know eventually what happened. He bought him and he ate the whole big bag in his car. Stay away from the door and you'll stay away from the sin. God bless you. Have a great day.